Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK, back at you with another video here to rank the 5-game CSGO main slate on Wednesday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos talking about NBA, NFL, and esports daily fantasy sports slates, esports including League of Legends, Call of Duty, and this one, Counter-Strike CSGO. So with that out of the way, let's jump in the video. Before we get into players and the prices for this slate, what we can do is we can look back at my lineup here from Tuesday. So Tuesday was actually looking pretty decent here. This was my final lineup. I had Nico, Device, Zipex, Plopsy, Lurko, and Olfmeister. Those phase guys and the Astralis guys I mentioned, you should probably play at least 2 of each in cash games. They both 2-0'd, so if you want that direction, you're probably in good shape. I did. I played 2 phase guys, I played 2 Astralis guys, and I played 2 Ninjas in Pajamas guys. I was looking decent. But that game got canceled or postponed due to internet. Someone couldn't connect, so I'm almost positive Draftkings is going to pay out as is, and we're just going to be screwed. I think it's going to be that last game is going to be played tomorrow or something, but either way, yeah, we're not going to get our points for the last game here for Ninjas in Pajamas versus Heretics there. So that's disappointing. Was looking pretty good. I got Nico was solid. Almost put up 100 in my captain spot. Olfmeister, again, for the value, I think he was pretty good. It was Brokey was also really good for his price, and Rain and Cold Zero were really good as well. So again, if you want that phase stack, if you want those straw stack, like I mentioned, for safety for cash games, you're probably in good shape. The Astralis guys, again, the downside is just trying to pick which one on a night-to-night basis. Device is a little bit disappointing. Zipex was really good. And then again, I want Plopsy, Lurko for their prices, but unfortunately did not get to game 3, so that's kind of what held me back for tournaments. Was about 40 to 50 points away from cashing with 2 players left with 1 game. It would have been close for me. It would have been pretty close. So that basically does it for the look back here on Tuesday slate. All right, what we can do now is we can look at the Vegas numbers here for this 5-game main slate. There are some Oceania games, as well as Asia games going on. We're kind of in the middle of the night. This Oceania slate is about to start here. If you guys are playing that one, I mean, that locks in 20 minutes. I don't even think this video will be up in time. I'm probably going to stack the Renegades. I'll throw a lineup in there, stack the Renegades, and then maybe get, 3 players from that game. But that's probably the way I'm going to go about it. Maybe I'll include those in the next video, the Oceania and Asian regions. But yeah, back to, again, we got 5 games, main slate. Here we go. Hard Legion Esports versus Espada. This one's basically a pick 'em. Espada are slight favorites. They're minus 120. Virtus.pro versus Syman. Virtus.pro, a decent favorites. They're minus 345. We have Navi versus Pro 100. Navi, huge favorites here at minus 750. Complexity and Fnatic. Fnatic, again, pretty decent size favorites there at minus 345. And then we have Team Vitality versus NS. Team Vitality are slight favorites are minus 215. And I'll go over at the end. I'll go over the Showdown slate here. This one's not included on the main slate, unfortunately. We have Envy versus Cloud9. Again, I'll talk about that at the end. So let's jump into it. I guess we'll start the first game here, Espada versus Hard Legion. So this is a game, honestly, I'm not super excited about, just because there's a lot of big hitters on the slate. I want to try to get those really big upside guys in my lineup, so I'm probably going to go more of a stars and scrubs approach. It's just, I don't know, nothing really stands out as like an amazing play here on either side for me. Now, sure, again, that's going to lower the ownership. We've seen it with some of these games in the past where the not-so-well-known teams kind of go under the radar. This is a game, again, I think it goes very low-owned. It just, nothing really sticks off as like an amazing play to me. So a guy like Digester there at the top at 9.4K, sure, he has upside. He's put up 64 and 75 fantasy points. Put up 65 against Navi, which is, that's pretty solid against a really good Navi team. It's just, I don't know. I think I just prefer the other spend-ups in the slate a little bit more. Guys like Simple, guys like Zywoo, who I just think have enormous upside. With Flashed It a bunch, right? Those are 2 guys that can easily get into the 100-plus territory for fantasy points. So, no, I mean, Digester, sure, you can go there as a contrarian spend-up option. For me, it's not going to be where that I go. The other options on this team, I mean, I guess Patsy there at 7.8K looks okay, but still, nothing really stands out as an amazing play. Like Finnegan at 6K, sure, but nothing really stands out, again, as an amazing play. On the other side, on the Hard Legion side, kind of the same thing, right? Forster is going to be a contrarian spend up for me. I don't think I get to him if I'm just making one lineup. The other guys in this team, I think the value guys would be the other options, guys like Kinky and Svat. Probably botched that pronunciation, but 6K and 5K, those two look a little bit better for the, just look at their fantasy points per game, right? They've averaged more than the guys right above them. So these two guys, I think they only have 2 games on there, but still, those would probably be the, the value options I think are in play on the slate. Next game, we have Navi versus Pro. So this is where, again, you have some big hitters in the slate. Simple is one of them at 10.4K. He has, in my opinion, the most upside of the slate. It's a really good matchup here. They should be able to win this one easily. Should be able to 2-0 them. So more than likely, we'll probably get the 20 fantasy point bonus for the sweep, right? The 15 for the rounds not played, and the 5 points for the sweep. That's 20 points total. Yeah, I really like Simple here. If we're just looking at game logs, right, so sure, that game against Fnatic, he didn't do great. That's a really tough team. Against Espada, put up over 100. Against Virtus.pro, who's a better team, put up 74. This game against Pro is a really, really good matchup. So I love Simple as a spend up. I'm going to try to prioritize. Again, I'm going more of the stars and scrubs approach. So I really like Simple. We'll talk about Zywoo too. But yeah, I love him there at the top, even at that expensive price tag. Electronic has been really disappointing as their number 2 guy recently. Just putting up subpar games, right? We're not seeing a lot from him. 35 and 43, 29 and 37, 33 and 34. They're just subpar. At 7.4K, I think he's okay, right? It's gonna lower the ownership on him for sure for box score watchers. He's still their second best player. He's just been disappointing recently, but again, we've seen games from him against 64, 77 fantasy points. He does have the second most upside in this team. I think he goes a little bit forgotten about, but I still think he is in play, and more than likely will get that 20 point for the 2-0 sweep, and that's why I think it makes these really cheap guys in play as well. Now, sure, again, this is a very star-studded team, so they're very Simple is going to carry the team. He's going to get a lot of the kills. So these value guys are cheap for a reason. But again, if we get that 20 fantasy point sweep for the sweep bonus, that is big, right? Because say Perfecto or Boomage, right? Say they put up only 35 fantasy points, which, is about average for them, right? He's averaging 35 Boomages. Perfecto is averaging 30. But add that 20 fantasy points, right? That would be then 55 and 50. Then you're not bad for those prices. So if we're looking for value options, I think all 3 of those guys are in play just because, you got to kind of hope for the 2-0 sweep there. If Pro Esports takes it to 3 games, then you could be in trouble because those guys, again, they get carried by Simple pretty hard. But if they do get the 2-0 sweep, then I think those guys are certainly in play as value options and guys that I'm definitely considering. On the Pro side, I will be completely avoiding these guys. I know there've been upsets recently, but this is a team I will not be going to at all. Yeah, I think Navi takes this one in 2-0 fashion, so I'll be avoiding the Pro side. Next game here we have that game as well, the Navi game. They're huge favorites here, minus 750, the biggest favorites of the day. Next, we have Syman versus Virtus.pro. Virtus.pro, pretty big favorites here at minus 345. I do like a good amount here on the Virtus.pro side. Jamie at the top at 8.8K. He is their AWPer. He's the guy that has the most upside, in my opinion. I like him a good amount here, and I think maybe he goes a little bit lower owned on the slate because I just think the flocks, including myself, are going to try to jam in, Simple, Zywoo. So it makes it tricky to get Jamie in there as well. So that's why I think that will lower his ownership. But if you want to pick one or two of the only one of Simple or Zywoo, and then maybe go Jamie, I think that's going to go a little bit lower owned. I think you can get all 3 in there if you want to, and that's something I'm certainly considering. But you're going to have to put someone cheap in the captain spot. You're going to have to take some shots at a couple cheap guys. But yeah, Jamie is a guy that I do like a good amount there. Q-Kurt as well at 8.4K. Him and Jamie are the 2 top players. He has been a little bit more up and down, right? With if we're just looking at fantasy points per game, 32, 97, 30, and 71. So sure, maybe Jamie is the guy that has a little bit more safety. Q-Kurt, again, we've seen that 97 fantasy point game. He does have upside as well. So I do like both those guys. I think you can play both if you want to. I think Virtus.pro takes this one pretty easily. So I do like both those guys at the top. Buster's in play as well at 8K. I would just prefer getting to those other 2 guys. Now, sure, if we're just looking at fantasy points per game, 79, 69, 71, he's been solid as well, and you're getting him at a slight discount. I just like the upside a little bit more at Jamie and Q-Kurt. But yeah, all 3 of those guys at the top don't really have an issue with. The value options was Sanji and Adrian, so these are two guys that aren't great Counter-Strike players, but again, you're kind of hoping for the 2-0 here. So if they do get the 2-0, if they do get the match sweep, that's another 20 fantasy points to their score. And if that's the case, right, we could see decent games from these guys. We kind of hope for like a 50 to 55 fantasy point game, even 60 is in the range with these guys if they can get the 2-0. So I think those guys, just like the Navi guys, are definitely in play. And again, you're kind of hoping for the 2-0 sweep there with those guys. But Sanji, Adrian, I think are certainly guys that if you're going more than stars and scrubs build, like myself, you're going to have to take some shots on these guys. So I'm very much considering those guys at the bottom as well. On the Syman side, this is another team. I know they're not huge dogs, but I will be avoiding them. I think Virtus.pro takes this one pretty easily. So, normally I've been breaking down slates. I'm like, oh, you can take shots on these guys, contrarian options. I don't think it's going to happen on this one. At least the upsets with the Navi and Virtus.pro. I think Navi and Virtus.pro both win. I think they both 2-0. So I'll be avoiding the opposite sides in both those games. Next game here, we have Fnatic versus Complexity. Fnatic, one of the best teams right now in Counter-Strike. They're minus 345 favorites. Brolin has been on fire here recently. Now, they don't have his latest game up there, but 110, 61, 77, and 94. The upside is there. He is the guy, again, on this roster has the most upside in my opinion, but you're going to have to pay a premium for him. So with that being the case, I think I like Crims a little bit more for his price. Crims and Flusha, actually, for their price. I like them a little bit more than Brolin, just because, again, this is kind of a more balanced team as well. But, Crims is a guy that does have the upside as well. So, and for their prices, I like the discount a little bit more. So, Crims and Flush, I think I prefer to Brolin. Brolin, again, he's been on fire. If you want to go that direction, I think that's fine. I think he goes maybe a little bit lower owned as well because, again, we have Simple on the slate. We have Zywoo on the slate. If we're looking at value, Golden's a guy that had a pretty good game last game. I don't think I get to him. I think he's fine at 5.8K. Well, I shouldn't say I wouldn't get to him. I think he is certainly in that range of guys, right? If you don't want to take shots in those bottom tier Navi or Virtus.pro guys, Golden's a guy you could look to. But I would prefer getting to JW for slightly more. He's their offer. He's a guy who has more upside in my opinion. So I do like JW a good amount here as a value option. I think I prefer him to Golden. If you want to play both, I think that's okay. Right? Again, if you want to go stars and scrubs direction, these are the two value guys you want to go with. I think that's completely fine. I'm going to prefer JW there to Golden. I think he has more upside personally. On the complexity side, so this is a team, they're underdogs, but I think there's a chance they could win this one or keep it close. So I'm not going to be completely avoiding these guys. If you're just making one lineup for safety, though, I probably would. I think, when you're making multiple lineups, that's when you can take shots on these guys. So guys that I'm considering here, I think it would be Config and Blame F. Once again, these are the two guys I've been looking to. Obo and Rush as value options, I will be fading for sure. Poison's okay, but I just like the upside a little bit more. Config, Blame F. If you're going to make me pick, I'll take Blame F for that price at 6.8K. So yeah, those would be the two guys to look into. More contrarian options in the slate for sure. I think they are in play though. And the last game here we have Ennis versus Vitality. We have Vitality minus 215 favorites. So on the Ennis side, another situation. I think these guys are going to be lower owned just because again they're underdogs. But you could see an upset here. Vitality is a very boom or bust, I should say, type roster, right? They have Zywoo at the top and the bottom of their roster, and everyone else not very good. So if Zywoo's struggling, right, you could see Ennis pull off this upset. Alu is a guy that on this roster has the most upside, but you're going to have to pay a premium for him. At 9K, I will probably be avoiding him. The other guys I think are in play. A guy like Sergey at 6.6K. For his price tag, I think he'd probably be my favorite play here on the Ennis side. And then don't even mind Sunny for value at 5.2K. That's a really cheap price tag. Again, if you want to go this direction and kind of hope for the Ennis upset, I think those two guys, Sergey, Sunny for value, are certainly in play, but more riskier options, right? If you're going just for the cash game cheap options, right? I think it's those guys. The Fnatic guys, the VP guys, and the Navi guys, like those cheap guys, right? That's where I would look to for more of a cash game setting for safety, right? Vitality here, and Zywoo, I'm going to try to jam in him and Simple. He put up an enormous game. It's not up here, actually, on Draftkings, but he had, I want to say, like 150 fantasy points. Just a crazy game there against Fnatic. And yeah, he's a guy that I really like on the slate now. Sure, they did play NS, about a month ago. He kind of struggled there, but we know the upside is massive with this guy. So I really like ZywOo. I think, his ownership is going to be inflated after their last big game. But if you want to pivot, right, there's other guys I've talked about, right? You can go simple. You can play both. You can spend out a little bit for guys like Jamie and Q-Kurt, or even those Fnatic guys like a Brolin, right? So there are other options if you don't want to go ZywOo. Again, I think his ownership will be inflated after the last big game. Other options on this team, I think just for his price tag, RPK at 5.8K, right? Because we're just looking at the fantasy points per game that are on DraftKings right now, right? There's about, 8 games, so decent size sample. He looks pretty good compared to these other guys, right? 42, 40, 33, 40. And he's the cheapest, right? 40 fantasy points. So that's why I think RPK would be my next option there. If you want to pair him with ZywOo, I don't mind that at all. I think that's where I would look to, just because of that price tag, right? So he's another guy I think you can consider for value if you want to go that stars and scrubs approach. All right, let's talk about captains, right? So there's a lot of, again, star-studded guys on this slate. Simple and ZywOo especially. These guys have enormous upside. I really like both those guys. Brolin as well has been playing amazing. Guys like Forrester and Digester, I think they're just more contrarian options for me. Same thing with Alu there. Jamie, again, I talked about liking him a good amount as well as Q-Kurt. Crims and Flush, I think I prefer them slightly to Brolin for their salaries. Again, Electronic, don't mind him. I think his ownership is going to be pretty low after a lot of disappointing performances, but he is their second best player on that roster. And then the cheap options, right? So if you want to jam in a lot of those guys at the top, you're going to have to play someone cheap in the captain spot. So guys that I would look to for cheap options in the captain spot, if we're just talking about safety, I think JW probably would be my favorite for his price there. He's only 6.2K, and the flex spot, if you throw him in the captain spot, that's 9.3K. I think he would probably be my favorite cheap option if we're going for safety in the captain spot. But there are other options, right? Guy like Hinky on the HL side, and then those cheap options on both the Navi and VP side, right? Like Boomage, Perfecto, even Golden on the Fnatic side, Adrian, right? Again, Sanji. You're not going to feel great about playing those guys, but you're going to have to take some shots if you want to get those guys all the way at the top in your lineup. So I think that basically wraps it up here for the breakdown of the main slate. So what we can do now is we can look at, really quickly, the Showdown slate for the C9 versus Complexity game. I'm excited to watch this one. I'm kind of a C9 fan, right? I've been playing a lot of C9 here, so I'm excited to watch this one. This slate is interesting. You can basically get whoever you want in your lineup here. So let's just jam all through the top 4 guys in your lineup, right? I think you can basically do it. Almost do it, right? So if you want to get contrarian here, I know there's only 10 guys you can pick from, but leave some salary on the table, right? Because if you just jam in those top guys, you're gonna have the same lineup as a bunch of people, right? But this is like shooting for the stars. So if you're just going for safety, sure, get those guys at the top. Which side do I like with the C9 versus Envy side? I'm going to give the edge to Cloud9. They're slight favorites here at minus 155. So in these showdown slates, normally if I'm going to, normally you want the 3-1 build. So you want 3 from the winning team, 1 from the losing team. So let's just do a quick breakdown here of the C9 guys, right? So for their salaries, once again, it's going to be OC, Floppy, and MOTM for me. I like all 3 of those guys a good amount. If we're just talking about the guys at the top with OC and Floppy, it's a close one. I will give the edge to Floppy for his price. Again, MOTM, I do like him a good amount as well. I'm going to be avoiding JT at his price. I don't think we have to go there. Sonic's a guy that does have upside, but I just prefer MOTM at a very similar price. You're actually getting him at a discount here, about a $1,000 discount. I prefer MOTM to Sonic there. On the Envy side, so definitely by far my favorite player here is Calyx at that price. Michu has been good recently, but I will take Calyx at the discount there all day. So Calyx is definitely my preferred player there on the Envy side. Probably followed by Moose. I've been riding him a lot recently, but he's been really solid as well. So I think Calyx and Moose be my preferred place. But yeah, the way that I'm going to go about it, I'm probably going to go the C9 stack, the 3-man C9 stack. And then, probably run it back with Calyx is the way I'm probably going to think about it. But Yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll leave some salary on the. I'll probably try to leave some salary on the table and go for it all. But I think that is going to do it for the video, guys. So if you have been enjoying the content so far, would really appreciate it if you guys could like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. We are at 3.14 thousand subscribers, so slowly growing. I know, the growth hasn't been as big with, NBA currently postponed, but hopefully we get that back somewhat soon. Again, I'm going to continue to put out these esports videos for you guys. I hope you enjoy them. Call of Duty, we have that slate starting. We have 3 slates actually, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll have a video up for Friday's slate probably tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. I'm excited for that one. Yeah, so thanks again for everyone to come and check the video. I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys all have a good day, and I will see you all in the next video.